Americans who believe in traditional values have been forced to whisper. These days, speaking out loudly against things like homosexual marriage or abortion on moral grounds can bring a flood of criticism from the media and secular elites. In their new book, Why We Whisper, Restoring Our Right to Say It's Wrong, South Carolina Senator Jim DeMint and Clemson University professor J. David Woodard show how government-imposed secularism and government promotion of immoral behavior like abortion and homosexuality have been the primary cause of the erosion of values in America and the intimidation that often causes moral conservatives to whisper.
Well, with us now from Washington is the author of this interesting book, Why We Whisper, Senator Jim DeMint of South Carolina. Senator, thanks for being with us.
Pat, thanks for giving me a voice this morning.
Well, many conservatives are outspoken about moral issues, but who's doing the whispering?
Well, I hear it often, Pat. I speak out about things that I think are wrong, and we get a lot of support, but a lot of that support is whispered, and I've really seen a lot of intimidation around South Carolina and around the country. People are afraid to say that certain things are wrong and to make value judgments because they have been told that that's hateful and it's intolerant.
Well, I used to think homosexuality was immoral.
Well, the problem today is the government has said it's right. Not only that it's right, but it's a constitutional right. Before the 60s, we knew abortion was wrong, and sex outside of marriage, and unwed births, pornography, homosexuality. Yet if you look now, the official or at least implicit position of the government that all these things are right. And if you say they're wrong, you're going to be called down in the media, in the schools, and even in the churches. But what we're losing is our freedom of speech. And just because our position might have a faith component or a connection to some religious belief, that doesn't mean that we don't have a right to speak it. And it shouldn't mean that public policy shouldn't reflect good ideas just because they have a religious connection. And the problem we have in our country today that almost every good value, every constructive behavior can be attached in some way to religion. And if you remove that from all public debate, then our laws become laws that encourage destructive behavior, which is what Why We Whisper is all about. And one of the primary reasons our government is expanding and growing out of control is because of our culture decline and the lack of morals in this country. Because unwed births is a moral issue. And we spend over $150 billion a year on unwed births in our country. And then if you look at poverty and school dropout and crime, all of those can be related to unwed births. If you add up the cost of that, as well as the cost, as you mentioned, of sexually transmitted diseases and the violence that is encouraged by pornography, and then realize the government actually says these things are rights and we're going to protect them, our government's gone in the wrong way. And the whole idea of Why We Whisper is to encourage people to say enough is enough. We need to stand up and speak out. Pastors can no longer be muzzled. You know they lose their tax-exempt status if they speak out politically. We can't allow that. We would have never had the American Revolution if pastors hadn't spoke out against the infringement of freedom that we were experiencing at the time.
It was judges, not